Hey there, baseball fans. Nathan Rohde and Shooter Hunt here with the latest episode of Coffee and Curveballs. Shooter summer is in full swing, as we've been saying the last couple of weeks now. I just spent about 10, 12 days sitting on Team USA stuff. You have a new background. I don't even know where you are right now.
I am finally back in the Northwest in a new spot. We just moved into a new house, which after a month on the road, I'm finally here. It does not feel like home yet, but I'm ready to make it home.
I was going to say, you're kind of like me. A couple of years ago, I moved into our current house, and right after that went on some vacation, and then I did my usual swing, through the future games and the area code games. I got back to our new house in August, and I'm standing in the kitchen. I'm looking around. I'm like, where is everything?
I'm a stranger.
But congratulations on the new digs, and hope you get used to it pretty quickly because you're going to be back on the road again pretty soon. So
I can't wait.
Let's talk a little bit real quick about the 18U national team trials. We went over Tournament Stars last week. They went straight into the 18U trials. Now they get some time off, go with their travel teams around the summer. We'll just touch on a couple of guys briefly and then go a lot more in depth on the podcast. David Seifert will also join us on the podcast to talk about the college national team. But for me, two guys that I want to mention that really stood out. Jacob Meter, who's actually the right-hander, undersized guy from Texas, and then Tyler Callahan, who we mentioned last week. He just continued raking. A lot of guys got tired and slowed down a little bit at the plate. There wasn't as much offense, but Tyler Callahan just kept right on rolling. Had a bomb, which you'll see later, and then I think he hit like 400 across the 4 or 5 games in 18U trials. The dude just hits, and he was playing some first base, played some third base early on at TOS. The position might be a question, but there's no doubt about that left-handed bat.
No, and he played with that Central Florida Gators team with Mason Dennerberg and Nolan Gorman, just being around all those good hitters, and he was the younger guy on the team. But whenever I would watch him, it was like, this kid always hits. And it's aggressive, and he never gets cheated, never intimidated by anybody, picks up pitches well. It was great to see him do well. And then Metter, it was really fun to watch. The USA had a broadcast where I was able to watch it. I think I had the College World Series on TV. I was texting you and watching the USA. And Jacob comes in. He's a TCU commit. And exactly what we saw all last summer. This kid just knows how to win. He pounds the zone, knows how to set up hitters. He was really utilizing the top portion of the strike zone with his fastball, which I'm sure you're going to touch on. It was 87-90, but it played like it was 94-95, and he was just throwing fastballs by guys.
He was, and I talked to Matt Blood, the 18U director, the next day, and I was like, what's the spin rate on Jacob Metter's fastball? And he's like, it's got to be high, because everything was top of the zone, but just guys were swinging through it. They weren't even close to it, and it was 87-90. Then on top of that, he can spin the breaking ball, which we know has a high spin rate. So he's working top of the zone with a fastball, swing and miss, spinning the breaking ball into the bottom of the zone, swing and miss. So he had 8 strikeouts across 3 innings. I think 6 of them came on the fastball. 2 of them the first 2 came on the curveball, which, again, you'll see later. It was just an absolute dominant outing by Jacob Metter. I said it last summer when we saw him at area code Shooter, and I'll say it again. He's undersized, so, he might not get the love in the draft that you would expect with his stuff. It's kind of a Sonny Gray type guy where he's undersized, but he can spin the breaking ball, and he's got the spin rate for the fastball. This guy, if as a freshman, sophomore, is all of a sudden getting all kinds of love on ESPN because he's dominating at a super regional for the Horned Frogs, I called it because I said it last summer. I'm going to say it again. This guy, if he gets to college, is just going to dominate in the postseason and be a big-time college baseball celebrity.
Yeah, he just knows what he's doing. With all those guys utilizing the launch angle, working up through the zone, he's able to get above those hands. And it really showed in a couple of those hitters who really work uphill. He was getting above the hands and then changing the eye level from up high and utilizing the almost a 12-6, 11-5 curveball to really go down. And it was fun to watch, especially for me because I had the College World Series going and that on the screen. So it was good.
Excellent. Well, let's shift over to some of your travels. You've been all over the place recently, but you started with the New York State games. Why don't you give us touch on a few standouts from that for us?
Well, I First off, before the standouts, the New York State games are unbelievable. It's over 300 kids at Binghamton University, which is a great setup, nice turf field, especially after going to Houston after that. The 80 degrees with a nice breeze was a lot of it was just very comfortable to sit in. But they just ran so well. Dan Savit in New York and Jerry Carrier just do an absolutely outstanding job. The staff, they had, I think, 16 teams of different kids from around the state, which it was phenomenal. But just a few I'm going to talk about here. One that I love is a kid named Casey Sawkey. He's a 2021. Absolutely, he's a two-way prospect. It's about the 85 on the mound, but more so at the plate and in the field. He's just long and lean, has that almost basketball player, wide receiver type frame, moves around shortstop well, but at the plate the hands are twitchy, and he just kind of hammered balls in BP, unassumingly because he's still 15 years old. But he's one to watch, and I believe he got a future game invite out of this performance. So we'll get to see him again.
Nice.
And then Gage Zeal's a guy who we've known about since this fall and then into the winter, and then getting to see him hop on the mound. It was 84 to 86. He's been up higher in the past, but it's a durable frame. He's strong, almost that workhorse type frame, but pounded the zone with his fastball, knew what he was doing. And though the slot changed a little bit on the breaking ball, he had feel for that spin, and spin wins. So yeah, I think it's going to continue to develop. He's another one that will be at the future games. And I just really, really thought that for 2021, his ability to go in and out with the fastball was really impressive. I'll say really again. And then Holden Lazarus, who just blew up on the testing day. It was a 99-mile-an-hour exit velo. It was a 6'3", maybe 6'4", 60.
Oh, wow.
And then from the outfield, it was 88, 89, where he's unleashing throws like that. And it's an impressive – he looked like one. I stood next to him. I said, "Do you play football?" Thinking he was like a strong safety or just a kid who looked like he liked to hit people. But got after it. It was a kind of a stiffer wind in from left field during the BP day, but he was sending balls that would have been clearing that fence by 30, 40 feet with ease. He's another one that hopefully we'll see at the future games because it's statistically real huge, and just to see him in more high-level competition play will be fun to watch.
And that does sound like electric tools for an electric name.
Everything about him was all, and then like he's got the personality where he's watching pitchers like, this guy's got nothing. I'm going now. I'm gonna crush this. So I love hearing stuff like that. So it was fun to see him. And then on the other end of the spectrum, Kobe Stenson's a guy who won't stand out immediately with the 6'3", 60, but really good athlete. The hands are twitchy in the field. He's a middle infielder, smaller guy. It's a real simple swing at the plate, but it was line drives from right to left all over, and then even in the game, he was able to get some hits. Another future gamer. He may become a lot of college coaches' favorite player where, hey, I really want this guy because he just plays the game the right way.
Gotcha.
And then one more, because we're going to get more in depth because there were 300 kids again later on. But Christian Perez, who's a New York City kid, son of Timo Perez.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Throwback. Nice.
So he came up, and he was in 2019. He's reclassified to 2020 with his age, and he can swing it. The feel for the barrel's there. He's about a 6'6", 6'7" runner. Obviously, he's got the bloodlines of his dad, just a good baseball player. As a left-handed hitter, he was peppering the left center gap in batting practice, but he's one that I am pumped up to see even more moving forward.
Excellent. Well, I'm sure we'll see some of those guys at the future games. Some of them remain uncommitted, so looking forward to that. But you put yourself through kind of a shock to your system. You started out in New York with 300 kids, 80 degrees, and a nice breeze. Then you headed to Houston in late June, which I'm sure was roasting.
It was probably 100 degrees, but you know what? I always say it. Any excuse I can get to get back down to Texas, I always try to get there. So you know what? Beggars can't be choosers. It's 100 degrees, but the University of Houston, the entire staff, they were outstanding hosts for the PBR Limited Series. Coach Toby Bicknell, did a great job putting together. We had 8 teams, which I love because we got to see each team play 4 games. So you really get a feel for some of the players. But the guy I want to talk about real quick, because I'm only going to talk about a few here. We're going to bring Coach Bick on probably next week to talk about some more. But Cole Foster is a shortstop in the 2020 class. He's committed to TCU. He has a chance to be a dude, Rody. It's a name you're going to want to know. Hopefully we'll see him out at the area code underclass. But he's a switch hitter. The hands are twitchy. And it's just he has that it factor. He walks in the field, and it's like, this guy's got something different about him where I need to watch this. And then he comes up, and game one, he gets 3 hits. And then he gets 2 hits. And he's in a double. And he's coming up in big spots. And it's a switch hitter. So from the left side and then the right side, he's getting hits. So he's one that I thought was outstanding all week and has a chance moving in the next week where you're going to know about his name, which is saying a lot about underclassmen that Nathan Rohde's going to know about him. And then an uncommitted kid, 2020, Robert Antonetti. He was up to 87 on the mound. I don't think he's not polished yet there, but it's arm strength. But at the plate, smaller left-handed hitter, but he's got that stocky, strong frame, and the ball just screamed off his bat all week. Left center to right center, it was just, whoa. And it sounded really loud, and he just had that hitter's feel. Hands are low, but just the path and the lag in the zone was outstanding to watch. He had a great weekend. And then Cade Murka is one of those where, because we got the C4 games, Cade Murka just gets better and better each time you watch. And he doesn't have the big 6'5" speed. He's probably going to end up being like a 6'9", just barely under a 7.0 runner, but he's a winner. And he finds a way to get the barrel on the ball to all fields. He's a shortstop. It's a little bit of a longer arm. He'll probably end up in college. Every school's going to want him to be a utility where he can play third, short if you needed him, second base, probably left field. But he's going to do the right thing, and he can hit the baseball. He's another future gamer, so we'll be watching him up in Indy. Really excited to see more from him. But for 4 games, he just has that leadership quality. So he's a guy that I'm sure a lot of schools are going to like. And then one shout out, it's hard. I can't mention all the guys in this team, and we're going to talk about it more on the podcast. But the 12 out of Texas, their 2021 group, it's top to bottom. Every guy has something that they bring to the table. They play at a high level. They all know how to play. The coaches do a great job. Even the parents in the stands know what's going on, and they cheer the right way. It was just a lot of fun. Rare. It made you forget it was 100 degrees outside. But the kid on their team, Dylan Leach, is a catcher, left-handed hitter, just knows how to play. He thinks, sleeps, eats, breathes baseball. It's strong uphill. Was pull heavy this weekend, but would also drop down a bunt to get on base. He's good behind the plate. He's the top 100 national guy for us in that 21 class, and he certainly looks like it. So he's a guy that a lot of people are going to want to follow.
Excellent. So that's a look at the New York State games as well as the Texas Limited Series. Obviously, we'll go more in depth on a podcast, and then maybe we'll get Toby Bicknell on a future episode to have him talk about it a little bit more. But if you're one of those people that listens to Coffee and Curveballs, having it running in the background as you're doing work, you might want to switch over to the video now because it is time for the Spin Zone. And I've got a couple of entries this week, Shooter, straight out of the 18U trials. As I mentioned, Jacob Metter from Texas, just an absolute big old breaking ball, gets swings and misses, a couple of strikeouts on it, as you see there. But then also your boy from New Jersey, Jack Leiter, was spinning a 12-6 to 11-5 curveball. He got Riley Green once. Then he got Reese Hines. Then he got Riley Green again. Then he got Reese Hines again, spinning that breaking ball, making guys swing and miss, making guys lock up. So
Jersey guys with the hammers.
You know it. So big-time Spin Zone this week out of the 18U trials. But moving on to the Bomb Squad, we've got a few entries from the 18U trials as well. I finally got some home runs on video of my own. We got Sammy Faltine out of Texas going yard, jumping on that hanging slider inside the zone for a left field home run. Tyler Callahan ambushing a ball, big old bomb to right field. And then a couple innings later, he was followed up by my man, Corbin Carroll, jumping on that high ball, home run, right field.
And then I had Hudson Polk, an Oklahoma commit in the 2020 class, going deep. He just gets big hits in big games because he's a big-time player.
Nice. So there you go. There you have it. Spin Zone and Bomb Squad. So you can go back to doing your work on your computer screen now. Shooter, we've just seen a lot of 2019 stuff. At least I have. The rankings are due for a change. So we've got that coming up. We don't have a set date for it. Obviously, a lot of our guys are busy with a lot of events, but we'll find some time in here to do an update. For me, Bobby Witt's number one, and then it's everybody else.
He's special. So that's the way it's going to be. And there's a lot of other really good ones right now. And we were talking about before we started the show, the amount of change from that, middle of the junior year into that senior summer is just, it's phenomenal. Guys make huge jumps and they continue to get better. And that's why we got another year before the draft where these guys are going to continue to get better and show off their stuff in front of the MLB scouts, and it'll all come to fruition in the end.
No doubt. Yeah, I mentioned it to you before the show. It's really striking to me being at the area code upper class and then going to the underclass and just seeing how much less physically developed those guys are. It's not that they're, worse players. It's just they're just not physically developed yet. So the BPs aren't as strong. And then I watch the 18U guys, and it's like, all right, these guys are putting together some BP. But then the college guys come in, and it's like, whoa. All right, these are adults now. So definitely a lot of growing going on from ages 15 to 20. So the difference there is pretty striking. But to wrap it up here, Shooter, what do you got next?
I will be following along from the Northwest as I get notes done going into those 19 rankings. But the top prospect games all across our PBR coverage, each state has stuff going on where a lot of future game invites are on the line, which is exciting for me to check out because those are names that are going to have a chance to blow up, like a Mac Horvath, Max Carlson, Drew Gilbert out of Minnesota last summer. So I'm excited to see what comes out of these. What do you got?
I'm going to be following along as well. No traveling for me for a little while. But next week on July 10th, we got the Midwest Pro Case in Illinois. And if you want to know who the Midwest prospects are in the current draft class coming out of there, you got to follow the Midwest Pro Case. They put together a really good roster every year. Our guys in Illinois, Wisconsin, get some Missouri guys in there, Indiana. But this year's roster is shaping up to be pretty good. Michael Doolin, who I just saw at Tournament Stars, strike thrower, solid stuff, good athlete. You just mentioned Drew Gilbert. He's on the roster to be there. We know he was sitting in the low 90s late in Minnesota season. Up to 95. Good two-way player, one of our favorites from the future games. Plus, Andrew Wiegman is a pretty good prospect from the Midwest. So, like I said, loaded roster. You got to follow along with it because a lot of those names that you see there, you're going to hear again in June next year. So, be sure to check it out. Anyway, let's wrap it up here, Shooter. I'm Nathan Rohde. He's Shooter Hunt. This was a terrible close, but this is Coffee and Curveballs. And next time, we'll see you guys at the ballpark.